Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny and welcome to this week's nursery tour. Today we're going to do a little something different. We're not going to show a ton of plants. We're going to show all of the fun things that have been happening here at the nursery, give you an update on containers and projects and a very fun new landscaping concept that we have partnered with Walter's Gardens on. I think you're going to be really super excited about this, so stay tuned for that. But first, here we are at the trial gardens. I wanted to give you just a very quick overview to show you how these beds are developing. They're gorgeous. We are definitely coming back and doing a very full in-depth garden tour on these beds, so make sure you stay tuned for that in the coming days. But yeah, so here we are. Remember, for those of you, maybe this is your first time with Creekside, we are a garden center grower retailer. So we grow our plants here in Dallas, North Carolina. We are just west of Charlotte, so North Carolina, zone 7B. Work very closely with Proven Winners and all of the nurseries that are associated with them. We have 4 trial beds here at the nursery that are filled with a mixture of annuals, perennials, and shrubs. All the annuals are Proven Winners 2023 new introductions, and so they will be available on the market next year. We planted these as a mix to give you ideas so you can come to the garden center, you can walk through, you can see what Queen Tut, the new Tut grass that is coming onto the market next year, you can see exactly what she looks like. You can see exactly what those white surefire begonias look like and give you an idea on how to mix plants like we have sweet potato vine, caladiums, along with some shrubs and a beautiful brand new summerific hibiscus that's going to be introduced. So we've got all of those in here along with, let me turn without making you too dizzy. Then over here, gorgeous plants. This is the coffee cups elephant ear that was a new introduction several years ago. It was an annual. It tends to be a perennial for us. So this is a 3 or 4 year old plant. We have fantastic perennials. This is the Queen Nectarine Agastache that is out. New petunias and avivulus and the sweet potato vine that is climbing. All sorts of fun things here. Everybody is just looking gorgeous. And yeah, so here we are. And then we have the rose garden. The rose garden is developing just as well. I am like you, and I am battling those daggum, absolutely pesky, annoying Japanese beetles. Seems like no matter how much I try to prevent them, they just keep coming back. So if you don't have Japanese beetles, be blessed. Just be very excited. One that is looking really good right now that the beetles have not gotten is the new Reminiscent Crema Rose from Proven Winners. So again, we will come back through here and do an in-depth garden tour of all these and highlight all the plants so that you can be just as excited as we are about new introductions that are coming onto the market next year, or maybe they're new this year. Lots of fun things. That's kind of our job, is to test these plants, see how they do in our North Carolina Zone 7B climate. Very hot, very sticky, very humid. Proven Winner plants are great. There are fantastic, amazing plants out there. But just because they're fantastic, amazing plants doesn't mean that they're going to do fantastically amazing here in our sticky climate. So that is our job, to figure out what works and what maybe does not work. Walking by the shrub lot right quick, I have to show you this. Look at this. This is a Spinderella. This is summerific Spinderella perennial hibiscus. Is she just not gorgeous? Look at that. You can see how she got her name. She has that little, like a spin, right, of the pink and the white with that hot pink center. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you have been with us for a while, you know that we have 2 beds in front of the greenhouse that we are going to develop into gardens. And so here we have this is a working day here because Jerry's over here working. This bed we just planted yesterday. This is the bed that is going to be part of the Easyscape program with Walters Gardens. Jerry is installing the frames that we will hang the signs on. But basically what an Easyscape is an easy way for people to design a landscape. Obviously we are still here in the early stages, and we will do an in-depth video on this to fully explain it, but it is a great concept. Here we have a sign. I think the sign will help explain a little bit more. If I can get it propped up here. All right, here we go. So we partnered with Walters Gardens and designed flower beds that basically is a recipe. So this recipe is to resist deer, and it is a full sun plant. And what it is meant to do is to give people ideas. It's like a recipe for a garden. So if you have sun and you have a deer issue, then you can follow this program. We have 4 different plants in this recipe that you can switch around. So for example, the dianthus, it just says paint the town. It doesn't say a specific color. Then the serendipity, ornamental onion, the summerific, hardy hibiscus, you can choose your color, and then a grass, a prairie winds ornamental grass. It gives you 4 seasons, 3 seasons of color if you want to look at it that way, early, mid, late. And then down here there is a sample plan on how you can plant it. You can also go to the Easyscape's website, and there are more as far as like designs here on how you can use it, because maybe your space isn't a perfect rectangle, maybe you have an odd shaped space. It will tell you exactly how to do that. So we partnered with Walters and developed 3 different recipes. So we will do an in-depth video, show you the plantings, show you everything that we have, and just the different ways that you can use it. It's a really, really fun concept on how to use this, this fun Easyscape program. So that is what we are doing. We are having them there. Jer, say hi. Hi. Does he need me? Okay, we're coming down here for a second. All right, so here we are. Jerry wanted me to help him figure out which placement to hang this sign. So this frame is going to hold a different sign. But yeah, because we're gonna have 2 recipes in here. We've got the one I just showed you, and then there's one for pollinators that is up here. This will give you more information on this sign, but I think that's a good placement, Jer.
Do you think it should be up or?
So what we're worried about is because sometimes when it's busy, and then come to Meredith just to buy a 6 inches. Yeah, like that. Because we want to make sure that we give plenty of room if a car comes through right here, that they don't take out the sign. And then Jerry's going to use the power planter, sink it, and then put it in the ground. And it will be a low sign. So that bottom frame that you see will basically be on the ground. But yeah, so that looks good. And then the other signage will be up here in the top corner, explaining the pollinator garden, and then we are going to stain them a nice kind of a charcoaly black. And then when you come to the nursery, these 2 spaces right here will have those signs that I just showed you, and all the plants that you can then go and shop for this Easyscape if you want to install it. So we do have 2 sun ones, and then we have a shade one that we will be doing in the pines here later on, probably this week. So they're gonna finish putting that sign in the ground, that frame in the ground, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on up here so I can show you some fun things that, man, are looking great right now. Here we are up at the pergola. One of the first things you're gonna notice are the limelight standards. They are coming into their own, looking gorgeous. We have got some beautiful hanging baskets. We have living on the edge. We have the beautiful, nice green Medusa sweet potato vine. This Medusa is a great alternative if you've got shade. It can do full sun, but it can also do shade if like Boston ferns just don't work for you, then you might want to try Medusa. It's a really fun hanging basket, really nice. You can see how this one is starting to come over. We had just trimmed all of these. Let me show you over here in the greenhouse, and you can see how gorgeous those are. Those hanging baskets were severely pruned back right around July 4th. So right before July 4th, not July 4th, anyway, earlier, late June, early July, they were really pruned back. So this is a testimony. If your hanging baskets get too long and leggy, feel free just to whack them and they will come out and be replenished really, really, really well. I'm telling you, calibrachoas, petunias, coleus, sweet potato vine, almost all of your annuals will respond really well to being pruned. So if they get too long, too leggy, too out of control, don't be afraid to prune them back. They will respond quite nicely. Yep, so here we go, walking through, give you some updates on some different areas that we have shown you so you can see what they look like. The grill, we talked about the grill a couple of weeks ago and how I had an empty spot. My mom was over here helping me yesterday. Took some mangaves in here, so that's what we did, or what she did. She put a snow leopard there in the back and then a Mission to Mars up here in the front. Will be really fun this fall. I can pop them out, put them in a different container, and then protect them for the winter. Look how well this Penta has popped back. If you will remember when we were here doing container maintenance, there was no blooms on this. So happy, nice and full. And interestingly enough, this is one plant. Not sure what happened there with some genetics, but clearly we have two different colors on here. One plant, so we saw that and we're like, oh, let's keep that here at the nursery. And then the wheelbarrow is bouncing back quite nicely. We have been getting consistent thunderstorms in the afternoon, and you can see that the leaves are beat down just a little bit, but doing really well, as is the container section over here with the dahlias, the hummingbird falls, and then that coleus. Remember how I pinched back that coleus? And look how nice and thick and full and tall. It is doing great. It is not laying down. It is nice and sturdy. Gorgeous. That is the Newly Noir Color Blaze Coleus from Proven Winners. And just a fantastic plant, very adaptable, sun and shade. So next, let's just kind of mosey on over here to the pines, see what's going on over here. Really fun, great sun, shade area. We do say that it is also sun because we do have, remember the sun will set over here, so we have a section that gets lots of hot, intense afternoon sun. So there is a table full of the sun perennials over here. Now, for you sweet folks who have asked about, can you put perennials in containers and what do you do? I want to show you this. This is a fantastic example of, I planted this container. This is just it's not a glazed pot. It's like, I don't say styrofoam, but you know, it's some sort of composite. It's really light, right? Got it at Sam's years ago. Planted it up with a hosta, a fern, and at that time, lots of other, like I put some annuals in there. That was probably 4 years ago. This pot has never been moved. It is not protected in the wintertime. It just sits right here. And just does its thing. Obviously, we do water it. It does really well. This is a Godzilla fern, and I want to say this is Paul's Glory. I'd have to look at the tag. Don't quote me on that. But any kind of hosta and fern, especially here in the South, they are extremely, extremely cold tolerant, so you don't have to worry about protecting them in the wintertime whatsoever. And then we have this fun little collection right here of some trial plants that we are testing to see how they do here in North Carolina. This is a euchera that is from Proven Winners. This is the Dressed Up, from the Dressed Up series. This is Ball Gown. Obviously just a gorgeous chartreuse limey color, really nice. This is the companion to Evening Gown, where Evening Gown is a nice dark black. This is a bright green. Then we have the Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe, has really dark black foliage, gorgeous blooms on it when it does bloom. Really nice, fantastic one. That's more of the ball gown. And then right beside of it, we have the Dolce Frosted Berry Euchra. And look at the color on this plant. Is it not just beautiful? Sometimes we struggle with euchras in the South because we're so hot and humid and they just don't do well in the landscape. So far, these are doing really nice, doing really well. And so we will see how they do and then decide whether to offer them next year here at the nursery or not. And then of course, Herm the Worm. Oh, I do enjoy my Herm the Worm from Unique Stone. It is such a fun little addition, pop of whimsy in your garden. People are so funny because people will walk by and they're like, oh, look at that cute little snake. And I'm like, it's not a snake. That's Herm the Worm. But anyway, it's quite funny. We have got gorgeous shade stuff. Look over here. These are, the ferns are doing wonderfully well. I'm telling you, that's what I love about a shade garden, is that it's so peaceful and quiet and serene to me. This is Brilliance. This is the autumn fern, but just look how that is so pretty, all in a collection together. Imagine that in the ground, and just beautiful. And then back there you will see the Pegasus begonia, really another great shade annual. So it is a begonia, but it is a shade annual, and it is wonderful. Again, in the landscape, in containers, really adaptable, but just the foliage on this plant is spectacular. So if you've got a shady area and you need to fill it in, check out Pegasus begonia. It is a great option and just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Again, if you do it in mass, it just makes quite the statement. I do want to give you an update on this shade garden. We were here in late winter, early spring on a couple of different occasions planting in here, and it is doing great. It looks fantastic. So excited about this. This area is, of course, we have the refrigerator back there, but it's just a fun mix of hostas and ferns, other shade-loving perennials that are doing really well in here. And so, again, this was the first year where I have planted in, as far as all of these guys right in here are all newly planted and doing really well. This Heaven Sent is only hardy to zone 7, so I was quite timid about having it, but that's the beautiful thing about getting trial plants or test plants that we can test out, is because even though we are a zone 7B, this perennial, which is rated to a zone 7, did and has done beautiful for us. Now, it has to go in the full shade, but it does gorgeous, and it's this beautiful light blue blooms in early spring, really nice. I have those in a group of 3 here to see how they're doing. But you can just look at the foliage on it, and it's very kind of like a fern-like foliage. So this darker green is the older, but look, we've got new growth coming up out of the center. This is not on irrigation, so for them to do as well as this, I am quite pleased, absolutely. And then we have Woo La La. Look at Woo La La Hosta. Is she not gorgeous? She's got some height to her. She's got big, huge leaves, beautiful margins on the outside. Just a fantastic plant. I love how wonderful she fills in this area. And then this is what I call Aunt Vonnie's ferns. We do not know what these ferns are. Technically, they're not an ostrich fern. They're some sort of very hardy southern fern because she lives in the low country, South Carolina. So these are definitely from very heat tolerant, but doing great. They naturalize over time. They're not for sale. We just have them here at the nursery in these display gardens and doing quite nicely. Very nice. Yeah, so everything is doing well. Here we have the drinking gourd hosta. She is hanging out there and doing great. But lots of fun things here at the nursery going on. Even though it is mid-July, it is hot, it is humid, you still can plant. Absolutely, I am planting. Now, am I putting in big, huge, massive beds? No, I'm not. But am I adding in plants here and there and tucking them in different places? I am. I just planted those summerific hibiscus the other day. I'm planting some annuals to fill in little pockets. I am putting in my heat-loving perennials, so your echinaceas, your rudbeckias, your grasses that love the heat. This is the time where you want to get those in the ground, so that way they're in their active growth period. They have got plenty of time to get their roots developed. So go out, visit your local garden center. You want to be in your garden center at least 4 times a year: spring, summer, fall, and winter. See what is blooming and then plant for that, because we want gardens of 4 seasons of interest, right? We don't want to have just big, huge spring pop. Of course, we love that, but we also want something in, you know, the heat of the summer, and then the fall, and of course the winter. So you can have beautiful gardens all year round. You just need to get out there, shop at different times of the year, and think about the plants and what are they going to do throughout the season. If I have a beautiful bleeding heart, let me show you an example of this. This is how I planted this. So this right here, back to Aunt Vonnie's ferns. Behind Aunt Vonnie's ferns, I have got bleeding hearts, and bleeding hearts are an early spring bloomer, but they can tend to fade out in the heat of the summer, rather. So right now you can see that this one not looking so hot, but you know what? In early spring, when it was gorgeous, Aunt Vonnie's ferns were still dormant. Now that Aunt Vonnie's ferns are nice and big and beautiful, you don't really see those bleeding hearts back there, do you? And that's okay, because as they start to fade away, the ferns are in all their glory and doing their job and hiding that foliage. So you got to be a little sneaky when you're out here planting your garden. So you got to think creatively. Oh, I have my second cup of coffee waiting on me. I got an iced coffee over there. So just think creatively and, you know, problem solve. That's what gardening is. We're problem solvers. Hope you have found this fun, informative. Look for those videos coming on all the different things that I mentioned. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.